But South Korea's reputation as a place to do business has come under scrutiny yet again. The nation, Asia's fourth largest economy, continues to come under fire for corrupt practices at its chaebols or family-run conglomerates. This time, the spotlight has turned to Samsung, whose top executives were grilled by Korea's parliament over the group's debts and allegations that it's resisting corporate reform. It follows the conviction of two Samsung executives. Joining us now in the studio is Littlewood, the president of Asia Now. You do business in South Korea. Is it difficult to do business there?
It's got a lot easier. I think a lot of the narrative that you're seeing around the need to improve, continue to improve transparency and corporate governance arises from the fact that 42% of listed companies in Korea are now in the hands of foreign investors. After the crisis, that number was in the low single digits.
So it's not valid what the OECD is saying?
No, I think it's more continue with the pressure. This process is never easy, but there's been a massive change in South Korea. The South Korean economy has been significantly restructured, and that restructuring continues. The OECD report, which came out yesterday, basically is pretty positive, but continues to emphasize, corporate transparency, but keeping interest rates low, but other stuff too.
But the process of purging corrupt officials continues in South Korea, deeming from this previous report that we talked about Samsung.
Yeah, indeed it does. Yeah, I don't think it's a particularly egregious problem in Korea, and I think if anything, it's got better. I just think it's more open now, and I think that actually the issue of lack of transparency it is now more of an issue for medium-sized and smaller enterprises. And I think that's something that the OECD has recognised. I think that in the upper tiers of industry in Korea, with the very large companies, I think there has been a very significant change, partly as a result of changes in ownership. I think that, just to come back on a point that your correspondent made earlier, in terms of growth, South Korea is not a tiger anymore. The days of double digits are probably gone. There was a brief recession in 2003. Growth this year is going to be probably 3.6, 3.7%, not particularly high, comparing, say, with a Vietnam that's at 12% and a China that's probably at 10%.
And the credit card problem from 2 to 3 years ago has been a major problem.
Yeah, because
a major backbreaker to the economy.
I think that coming out of the crisis, there was an urgent need to stimulate demand, and because the reforms required to increase export competitiveness take quite a while. There was a fairly obvious attempt to stimulate demand by making short-term borrowing available, and that, of course, led to all kinds of issues.
But can the chaebols be chaebols once again, given the more open market economy that they're in right now?
I think that has changed. First of all, a number of them have gone out of business altogether. There's been massive consolidation. There are far fewer of them. I think that the pressure for transparency will continue, but it's never going to be easy. But I think the signs are broadly positive. I think that there are other challenges that the Korean economy has to face. Including, for example, the need to increase spending on R&D, because innovation will reduce costs. Continuing labour market reform, because again, reducing costs is key to export competitiveness, and also the equality of development. Some parts of Korea are well behind Seoul, and they need to spread that out.
All right, positive developments for South Korea going forward. Sam Littlewood from Asia Now, nice to have you with us.
You're welcome.
Thanks for joining us, everyone. I'm Rico Hizon.